Hello and welcome to How to Run a Successful Business and Still Have a Life. My name is Stacey Morgan and today's episode is brought to you by Simply Business Accelerator. This is your last chance to sign up for our goals and work-life balance session. This is our June intake for Simply Business Accelerator. Of course, we have lots of topics to get through this year. You may have joined us for messaging and marketing back in May, and if you would like to continue the journey and join us for goals and work-life balance, then sign up now at simplystaceymorgan.com. Today's episode is going to be a quick whip around strategy. A quick whip. I've been practicing saying that all morning. A quick whip around strategy. So, of course, strategy is so important when it comes to business. And we've talked about a lot of the other important pillars when it comes to business and business success already on the podcast. But as episode 10, I thought before we go any further, it's really important that we talk about strategy. Now, strategy is one of those big picture things that I absolutely adore. I am an I on the disc profile, if you haven't been able to tell already. And so big picture things and not looking at details, but instead doing big planning and future planning and thinking about direction and goal setting is really my jam. So I wanted to briefly touch on some important things that you need to think about in terms of your business strategy. And I encourage you that if you haven't already sat down and put some time aside to work through some business strategy for yourself and your business, then I really, really encourage you to make that a priority in the next week or two. This time that you spend, even though it's not going to be ticking things off your to-do list and it's not going to be actually working at the coalface of your business, is really going to be able to help you solidify all the things that we've been talking about so far on the podcast and really get you in a good position right here in the middle of the year in order to make sure you're going to be kicking some goals through to the end of the year. It's important to finish strong. So when I'm talking about strategy, there are several different components of business strategy that I want to talk to you about. And I want to give a shout out to Tanae Sanders, who is my strategy guru. Her company is the Strategy Studio, and she helps me enable to keep all these big ideas that I have and these big plans and these big dreams. She helps me bring them all into manageable and actionable steps. And I encourage you that if you know that you're big picture like me and you need somebody to rein you in, then Tanae is your girl. Or if you are stuck in the details and you don't quite know what's happening next week, let alone in the next 5 years, then she can help you with that too. But I want to talk about all the different elements of your business. And I want to make sure that these are things that you're thinking about, not just for what needs doing tomorrow, but what needs doing into the future. So the thing you want to talk about and think about when it comes to your business strategy first is, what is it that you're going to sell? How are you going to make money? What does that money look like? How much are you going to need? How much are you going to spend? And how much is going to mean success for you? So thinking about those products and services and exactly what you're going to offer is a really important first part of your strategy and figuring out how your business is going to work. Because it's pretty hard to think about your marketing or think about how you're going to do your sales or think about, administratively what you're going to do if you don't exactly know what you're going to sell. So that's a really good place to start. Doing a brain dump for each of these activities is really helpful as well. I find a brain dump is great on a Sunday afternoon, but also great in one of these sessions where you can just write about all the things that are in your head. Put on a great tune and just get it out of your head and get it onto some paper. So have a brain dump of all of the products and services that you would like to offer. And it doesn't just have to be what you want to do this week or what you already currently offer in your business. It can be all of the things for the future, all of those ideas that you had at 4 a.m. that you thought, hey, wouldn't it be great if we did this? Those things can come out in this brain dump. And then, of course, the beauty of doing a brain dump is you have it all there. And then you can have a look at what is there and prioritize the things that you want to action first and those things that are going to go on the back burner for a little bit later. Once you've figured out exactly what you're going to sell and what those products and services look like, it's time to think about exactly how you're going to fund that. So what is the strategy behind where the money is going to come from, and how are you going to make sure you cover your costs from now until when the business gets up and running and gets moving? Perhaps you're in a really good season at the moment when it comes to your business. So you need to be thinking about, okay, how can I be putting money aside so that when there is a downturn or when something happens that's unexpected, and of course, we've all learned big lessons in business over the last 18 months about making sure we're prepared for the unexpected. If you're in a good season, putting some money aside right now, or if you're in a really dry season, thinking about where you're going to get that cash flow and how you're going to get that cash flow moving into the future. So if you're going to need to raise capital, what does that look like? How are you going to go about that? If your cash flow is good, how are you going to sustain that? And if your cash flow isn't that great, then how can you set in place some forecasts and do some budgets to make sure that you are really making sure that this business of yours is going to be as profitable as possible? So you've got the cash, you've got your products, you've got your services. Now, how are you going to sell it? How are you going to start building relationships with your customers? What does that sales process look like? And so thinking about the strategy behind that, it's not just going to be that you open the doors and then hope for the best. You're going to need to make sure that you have a strategy behind your sales and exactly how you're going to be making sales with your customers, how you're going to be building relationship with your customers, how you're going to make sure that you're going to retain those customers once they've stepped in the door and purchased from you once. What is the strategy around retention and how you can get people back in to buy more, or perhaps how you can upsell them after they've already bought from you once. And then once you've figured out what that sales looks like, you of course want to be able to attract new people in the door and be able to start building relationships with new people. So what does your messaging and marketing look like? And what is the strategy behind that? For so many years in the beginning of my business, my marketing strategy was just like cross my fingers and hope for the best. I didn't really have a plan. Then Facebook came along and it was like just post today or tomorrow or maybe next week or maybe not for 3 weeks, but then 5 times in a row. Like there was just absolutely no strategy around what we were doing and how we were doing it. And it wasn't until I actually took the time to sit down and work my way through a calendar and figure out, what events do we have coming up and how are we going to promote those? What products and services are we launching and what are they going to look like and how are we going to tell people about them? What does that messaging look like? That it really became something that was really important to making sure that we can communicate what we're doing with our customers and get that messaging across. But all of these different aspects, they all really require some thought and really require some thinking and some big idea thinking. If you're the kind of person that likes to write things down and likes to mull over things, but you're not quite sure what to do with them once you have your ideas out on paper, I would love to be able to step in and help you at this stage to make really practical, tangible choices for your business to make sure that you've got priorities and you can start putting some of these things into play. Perhaps you're somebody that is really good with the tangible and I want to do this and I want to do that, but you need some help being able to figure out what has to happen first. Because of course we can all get excited and we can all do a brain dump and go, oh, I'm excited. We've got all these things to do. Let's go. But of course that momentum runs out once, fatigue sets in and that overdrive and you really run out of gas because you are, as a business owner, juggling so many different things. So it's really important that you pace yourself once you've figured out exactly where you want to go and how you want to go about this. One of the things that I find is really, really valuable is being able to download and print off a yearly planner. And so one piece of paper that has the whole year on it, or maybe it's 2 pieces of paper that I put kind of on top of each other, that gives me a really good outline of what the year looks like. We've also got a really great whiteboard planner that sticks up on the wall here at home that has all of the dates for the future on it. But when you're doing your brain dump and doing your strategy, being able to map out what those big events are that you have coming up in your business and in your life, and then figuring out all of the other aspects of these things around those big events and those product launches and those really busy times or really quiet times in your business. Because of course, once you figure that out on that map, and I talk about the year planner being like a map, once you've got the basics of the map planned out, then you can figure out how the cash flow is going to go on top of that. Then you can figure out how your messaging and marketing is going to go on top of that. You can then think about how your sales is going to factor into that. And then you can think about what new innovation you can have in your business that's also going to make that happen. So there are so many things to think about when it comes to your strategy, but the most important thing is when it comes to your business that you do have a strategy and that you are working to that strategy and you are refining that strategy. So many of us just launch into business and decide that, we've got the products or we've got the service and we're just going to open the doors and hope for the best. And, we push on for so long, just kind of getting to the bottom of our to-do list every day and crossing things off. And we feel like we're on a hamster wheel. It's my dream for you that hamster wheel feeling does not have to continue, that's actually something that you are able to refine and you are able to feel like you're in a lot more control over. Because once you figure out your strategy for your business, you figure out where the ebbs and flows are, both in your cash and in your time and in your energy, you can really start to tailor your business to actually work for you rather than you just working for it all of the time. As a business owner, and especially those of you who are nurturing your families at the same time, that is super important when it comes to your business. And you might be thinking, I don't have time to sit down and print out a yearly planner and spend 3 hours of my life figuring stuff out. If you want your hand held, I'm more than happy. As I said at the beginning of this podcast, this is my jam. So please shout out if you are thinking, I'd love to do this, but I just don't know where to start. And of course, you can get our handout because we would love to leave you with some tangible takeaways. You can get out your handout from us with the different prompting questions that will help you in all of these aspects of your business. You can download that at simplystacymorgan.com/downloads. And that will be a nice companion for you as part of this journey. But if you want to do something right now in order to kickstart this for you, then I encourage you to get your diary out, whether that's your paper diary or your Google Calendar or whatever you're using. Get it out right now and find a time where you can block out a couple of hours, whether that's you're going to get up really early next Tuesday morning, whether that's you're going to put the kids to bed next Thursday night and that's when you're going to tackle it, whether you've got a lunch date with a friend that you can cancel and stick in the middle of the day, a couple of hours where you can do this brainstorming. Figure out what needs to be sacrificed in order for this to happen, because it is going to be so worth it once you've done it. And I encourage you to make that time, prioritize that time, and get all the tools that you need around you so that you feel like you're in a space where you're motivated, you feel like you have lots of coffee if that's what you need, or you have your cup of tea, and so that you have the things that you need around you in order for you to be as productive as possible. And then I say, just get stuck into it. Set a timer, turn off your distractions, turn off all the notifications, make sure the kids are safe and you are safe and nothing else is going to interrupt you, and then go for it. And please report back and let us know how you go. Setting up your business strategy is one of the most helpful and useful tools that you will have, that you will do for your business and your business's success in the future. So I totally, if you've been waiting for somebody to tap you on the shoulder or you've been waiting for a sign, then this is it. Get stuck into it. Today's episode, of course, has been brought to you by Simply Business Accelerator, and you can join us. This is your last chance to join us for our June intake. You can enroll now at simplystacymorgan.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, then I encourage you to take a screenshot and share it on your Insta story. You can tag us at Simply Stacey Morgan. I would love you to share this episode with your business besties, perhaps those of you who have friends who are starting their own business, who have a side hustle idea that they'd like to kick off. You know, creating your strategy is so important no matter where you are in your business, but especially important for those people who are starting their business fresh. So I encourage you to share this episode with any of your business besties who you think would benefit. You can also add them to our Facebook group. If you haven't joined already, please join us at How to Run a Successful Business and Still Have a Life. And of course, when all parts of your successful business are healthy, then you're going to set yourself up for profitable and sustainable growth. If you don't know how healthy your business is, then you can check our survey. Just click on the Learn with Stacey tab at simplystacymorgan.com. We are here every week with bite-sized business tips and things that hopefully will help you make practical and tangible changes to your business in order for you to get more time in life for the things that really matter. I really appreciate you joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will talk to you next week.